So welcome everybody who's joining. Great to see so many of you hopping on to this webinar. Already more than 14 people. Very happy to see all of you. Feel free to, in the meantime, while we take 3 minutes to get started, to make sure that everybody has the time to join. Feel free to introduce yourself to the others, who you are. So please use the chat function for that. Who you are, where you're dialing in from, what your role is, maybe where you work. And it would be great if you feel comfortable to switch on your cameras as well. So we can have a very engaging webinar today. And we're still welcoming new people. Great to see so many of you here today about this interesting topic. And like I just mentioned, right, if you feel open to do so, then please write in chat, who you are, why you're here, where you're calling in from. It would be great to have as much engagement as possible today. And we wait 2 more minutes before we get started to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to join. We are at 21 already. Great to see so many of you who found 45 minutes today to talk about unlocking engagement. Feel free to share. I see already some people writing in chat. People from the Netherlands, from Paris. Also, Henk-Jan Brommer, welcome from the Netherlands. Great to see all of you. Even Munich is here. It's really an international audience. Always feels so special when you're in one virtual room with people from all around. So great that so many of you could make it. We wait 1 more minute before we kick off. So if you just joined, feel free to share why you're joining, where you're coming from, maybe where you work, and if you feel comfortable, then please switch on your camera. Welcome, Peter from the Netherlands, Nancy from Sweden. I think we can start. If people join, then they can just hop on. Somebody from Hamburg, welcome, Shilika. Great to have you here. So let's dive in. Welcome, everyone. And today we will discuss unlocking engagement, how HR and L&D can shape a thriving workplace culture. That's the topic of today. And just some information, this session will be recorded. So for everyone who doesn't want to be seen on camera, please keep your camera off. For the ones that don't have a problem with that, please keep it on. It's nice for connection. And of course, for the people who don't put their camera on, it would be great to still have your participation in chat and in the polls we will discuss today. So for the agenda, what will we explore? We will talk about 3 topics today. Learning engagement as catalyst for broader employee engagement, better HR and L&D collaboration for engagement outcomes, and the third one is sales and marketing tactics to drive engagement. So a lot to discuss, and I'm really looking forward. Hopefully you do as well. Just shortly about Lepaya, who we are. Well, our mission is to upskill workforces to create real business impact. So we empower you as L&D or HR experts to really become that L&D strategic partner. And we do that by designing relevant, engaging and blended training programs that really show impact on business outcomes. So our goal is very simple. We want to empower your workforce to drive your company's success. And nice bridge to who I am. I lead all corporate accounts teams at Lepaya. My name is Renske de Wit. And I was very happy to be hosting this webinar because I started my career a long time ago when I was still young as an HR consultant. So I was advising a lot of HR teams on a wide range of HR topics. And one topic that was constantly there and was always super critical and strategic within companies, and that's the employee engagement. So it's a passion of mine to work around that employee engagement and to really use the engagement of employees to drive your company. So now as well within Lapaya, my mission is to position L&D as a key driver of engagement and really using employees to grow and to make your business grow. And then I'm super happy today to also announce our expert speakers. To start off with, Stur, can you maybe introduce yourself? And immediately to start the conversation, can you share maybe a controversial or unpopular opinion to today's topic?
Yes, of course I can. Thank you, Renske. Ster Hutton from Up Learning, and we're going to be talking about unlocking engagement today. Now, as we at Up Learning help organizations design personalized and adaptive learning experiences and platforms, engaging people is really a top priority for us. But here is my unpopular opinion. I think engagement still matters, but in a world of constant change, which has accelerated tremendously with AI, agility and transformative capability are becoming even more important, in my opinion. And it's not just about how engaged people are, but also whether they're able to adapt. And I think that's where the real power of learning lies, and where HR and L&D can lead by creating the conditions for people to keep growing, even when everything around them is shifting.
Thank you, Stur. And that already makes me curious to hear more from you today. Then I really want to welcome Kyle. Same question for you, Kyle Norman. Can you introduce yourself shortly? And what is your unpopular opinion of today's topic?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle. I work at Fair Harbor in sales enablement. Some of you may have seen Fair Harbor, but you don't know what Fair Harbor is. It's a booking system for tours and activities. So those of you in Amsterdam, if you've ever gone on a boat tour with Flagship or you've gone on a boat tour with Pure Boats, most likely if you booked online, you used our booking system. But working at sales enablement, we really focus on engagement within the team, but also other teams as well. I think it's a big, huge priority for us. We really have the team in a growth mindset. But my unpopular opinion, I believe that L&D tends to support too many teams at once, which really kind of lacks the focus we need to really engage an entire audience. And with that, our roles in L&D are too narrowly defined, which limits our overall impact we have. So if we look at a lot of the mistakes or a lot of the things L&D struggles with, a lot of it falls into a narrow role and too broad of a focus. So I think by narrowing that down, we can really start to address some of those common issues.
Very interesting, Carl. And you inspire me to book that boat trip maybe soon. So thank you. And so thank you very much for being here. And last but not least, introducing Sylvia. Very happy you are here. Can you introduce yourself and also bring that controversial opinion on employee engagement?
Yes, thank you, Renske. So my name is Sylvia Kosma. I won't introduce Lapaya as Renske has already done that, but I have been part of the company for the last 2 years as the L&D marketing specialist, which means that I'm supporting our clients with improving engagement on their programs. And this allows me to bring a bit of an insider's view, which is also reflected in my potentially unpopular opinion, which is that HR and L&D leaders that want to drive engagement really need to stop looking at marketing as just that external department, let's say, or that external engine to your scope, driving only maybe a company's external brand presence, and really start looking at how you can incorporate marketing tactics to ensure the success of your own programs. Because basically, if you wouldn't launch a program or a product externally without marketing, you also shouldn't launch a learning program internally without marketing, because then you're just leaving engagement on the table.
Clear. Thank you so much. And also here, very curious to learn more. I think this warms us up for for the topics of today. And to dive in, firstly, a little bit on more, what is employee engagement? Like I said, I used to advise a lot on employee engagement and how to drive that within your company. And why is it so important? Well, an engaged employee brings so much more than an unengaged employee. Very, very clear, right? And an engaged employee is enthusiastic about their work and is really willing to invest in company success. So in the end, engagement drives performance. There have been multiple resources, of course, done about employee engagement. And for example, Gallup, right? They're showing in their research that engaged teams can increase productivity by 18% even, and profitability by 23%. And on the other hand, if you don't work on engaged employees, you can see a significant risk to the bottom line of your company. So I think, the importance of employee engagement is clear. It's a topic that it's relevant not only to people teams, but to the entire business. So I would like to look into some top factors with you that sources such as Gallup, McKinsey, Gartner flag as having major effects on employee engagement nowadays. So there are stated five effects on employee engagement here. The first one is manager involvement and development. Crucial to be engaged is to have a manager that's involved with you and your development. The second one is a lack of growth and development opportunities. The third one is inadequate recognition and quality of feedback. Very interesting as well. The fourth one, organizational culture and alignment of values. And the fifth one, also important to engage as an employee, is the or flexibility of a work model. And now I would like to ask you to answer the poll question. Looking at these top trends that are affecting employee engagement, what is the top factor killing your team's motivation in 2025? So you can make one choice where you feel like, this one for us, for my team, my organization is maybe the main aspect that is affecting negatively the team engagement within my company. So take time to go over the answers and please respond. And if you feel like my answer is not in this 5, you can also, of course, share in chat. What other aspects maybe are affecting your team's engagement? We'd love to hear from you. What would you see as reasons for engagement killing? So thanks has shared a lack of clear goals to be added. Very clear indeed. You need to know what the vision is of a company and where you're heading towards. So let's take 1 more minute to answer the poll and to see what the results are. There they are. So it's a shared winner. Both two options. Almost 30% of you acknowledge that these trends affect team engagement most, and that's inadequate recognition and quality of feedback, and organizational culture and alignment of values. So thank you all for answering the poll, and it gives us a lot of insights of where you feel the importance of driving employee engagement lies within your companies. So looking at these trends, killing employee engagement, we can also see the solution for starting to revert them. And we do that by addressing the behavior that can underlie these trends. Because if the root of the challenge lies in behavior, well, so does the solution. And at Lapaya, we also see that companies who invest in developing their talent at every level, especially through high relevant tailored development paths, report growth in desired behaviors of their people. Adoption of the organizational values in the employees, and increased motivation and retention among employees. So for the panel discussion, I would like to ask the experts, how can learning serve as a catalyst for solving broader employee engagement issues? And then I would like to ask Stur maybe to share your ideas first.
Yeah, interesting to see the results, and not very surprising. I already suspected that recognition was going to be one of the main topics. But I believe that learning has the power to influence nearly all the engagement trends that you just mentioned, Renske, from growth opportunities to the feedback culture. But real impact requires alignment between HR and L&D, and especially managers. And it doesn't really come from mandatory training. It comes from meaningful learning experience that help people do their jobs better and adapt to change more easily. And that's, I think, where learning can lead by designing truly adaptive and personalized learning paths that actually hit the mark. But just as important, by supporting managers in creating a learning environment where people feel their own learning efforts are seen and valued and supported by the manager. And I feel that we sometimes overlook the difference between acknowledging that somebody is learning and truly appreciating it. Well, it's actually that appreciation when somebody feels seen in their effort to grow, and gets feedback on that in a timely manner, that builds a true culture of learning and engagement.
Nice. Great. Very insightful, Stur. Anything to add there, Kyle?
Absolutely. I think Sarah nailed it on the head with talking about how L&D, HR, and managers really need to be on the same page, because they're really the drivers behind the change, or the engagement. So there's a ton of studies out there, and we've seen earlier the effects of learning, how it can have an impact on engagement and how it translates to things like corporate ownership. And this is incredibly powerful. I think this comes down to people feeling like a company is investing in them. And if we look at one of the first principles of persuasion, Robert Cialdini, it's reciprocity. I still can't get this word right. I could never get this word right. Reciprocity. So, Sylvia, maybe you want to correct me. Did I nail it?
Reciprocity?
Reciprocity. That's the one. Reciprocity, which in their mind, if you're going to invest in me, I want to invest in you, in the company. So really engaging in getting that corporate ownership. But I think where a lot of people make a mistake is they think if we build it, we'll get all these great outcomes. We'll get engaged employees. And that's just not the case. I think as L&D professionals, we walk this tightrope. And if we stay on the tightrope, we get impactful trainings, we get it's motivational to people, we get engaged teams. But if we fall off, it's going to be seen as a burden or cumbersome. So this really comes down to how we're marketing our initiatives and what our messaging is behind that, like Sylvia was talking about earlier. And if you do the messaging and you have a great marketing campaign behind it and you're building really good content, you're going to see these results.
Yeah, so it's a build-up from things that matters to see those results. Thanks, Kyle. Very interesting. Sylvia, what would you like to add to this topic?
So maybe just diving a little bit deeper and strengthening what Kyle also mentioned, from the perspective of what we see at Lapaya, from the L&D leaders we work with. And really see the ones that are succeeding in leveraging learning as a tool for broader employee engagement is where indeed they make that connection both with the employees, day-to-day activities, like why is it relevant for their work, and also with the overall organizational goals. So by collaborating, with our clients' marketing and L&D teams, we've seen that when the value of training programs is communicated in such a way that appeals to the employees, the classic, what's in it for them, and it also shows how it is connected, how they are contributing basically through the wider company goals or values. People are not only more likely to sign up themselves for the programs and also finish the programs, but also more likely to become learning advocates internally. So that then creates a ripple effect in the end in the pool, because it's basically social proof. And that this strongly engages and motivates other employees as well.
Nice, great. Thank you for your view on that, Sylvia. And maybe, yeah, continuing to drop down a little bit more on that engagement is, we've heard from you why learning can be a powerful tool to positively impact the broader engagement, but probably the audience also knows that ensuring people being engaged in learning can also be very challenging. So we see that traditional learning engagement strategies often fail, and we see that there's 4 topics why these strategies fail and why it's hard to get people engaged in learning. And the first one is the relevance. That's sometimes a mismatch to employee skill gaps. The second one, we see that are often a low buy-in from team leaders. The third one is more about the culture within a company. If you look at a learning culture within a company, it has a big impact on learner engagement. And the fourth one is that you see that over time, the engagement within a learning program decreases from start to finish. So again, I would like to ask you to vote in the poll if you recognize one of these 4, and if you would say, within my company, this one is really the hardest. We see that we really struggle with that one to drive that learner engagement. So let us know which one for you resonates most. And again, of course, if you have different opinion or different options, then please use the chat function to elaborate where you feel that the challenges lay for learner engagement. So it's the unclear employee skill gaps, the low team leaders buy-in, the company learning culture, or you see the decreasing program engagement from start to finish. So is it one of these 4, or do you have a totally different view or opinion? Very open to see. Let's take 30 seconds more to make sure that everybody has the time to think a little bit and to answer the poll. And I think there we get it. Oh, it's quite all topics seem relevant. There's not a clear winner, although the company learning culture maybe has the most votes for now, right? So, and that's of course deeper in the culture of a company. Yeah, do we value development of people? Is that something that maybe leaders talk about? That's in the company vision and mission. You all say that that's the biggest challenge for learner engagement. And then 3 options are second best, the other 3. So let's continue by diving a little bit deeper on that engagement. How can HR and L&D teams co-drive these engagement outcomes and really play an important role in driving that engagement? And of course, looking at our experts to hear your thoughts. Starting again with you, Ster, what do you feel that HR and L&D teams can do to drive that engagement?
Well, I think it's important maybe first to say that we are really strong believers at UpLearning in self-directed learning. So I feel that usually L&D and HR feel responsible for this, but I think everybody's responsible for their own growth, and staying curious is essential. But as mentioned before, curiosity doesn't really thrive if it's not appreciated. And HR and L&D can help shape a culture where it's safe to say, I don't know this yet, or I need help. And that kind of culture really starts with managers because they create the psychological safety for people to try and fail and reflect. So what we always promote when creating online or blended learning programs for our clients is to involve managers and representatives from the target audience from the start, to really make sure that we provide people with learning tools that resonate with their daily challenges. And I also believe it can be very powerful to start a transformation process, which learning in essence always is, focusing on managers first. Because a great example of this, for instance, was a serious game that we created for one of our big clients to support managers during times of digital transformation. And the goal was to help these managers become aware of the important part they played in this transformation, but also recognize resistance, guide change conversations, and support their teams through uncertainty. And it really helped shift their role from merely managing the change to actively enabling learning within their teams. Because when done right, managers are not just informed about the learning program, they really become part of the way it lands and lives within the teams. So
Yeah, nice. So even using gamification to really help managers to drive that learning culture. Thanks, Ter. Going to Kyle, what is your view on this?
Absolutely. Apparently someone has turned the blinds down outside my room, so the lighting in here got a little bit different, and I realized
You're still very good. We can see you very good.
I was more worried about the glare on my forehead,
Oh.
but I guess it's fine. It's okay. Building off of what Stare said, I think to see everyone say that a culture of learning and engagement is kind of the biggest obstacle right now, Stare nailed it on the head and said it begins with everyone inside the company. Culture is not driven by one person or two people. You need buy-in from your managers. You need buy-in from HR. You need buy-in from L&D. You need buy-in from the top leadership. And it starts with modeling that behavior, believing in it, and it trickles down, hopefully, especially when you find some captains within the team. To build a little bit more on it, I think we know as L&D professionals, one of the biggest obstacles we struggle with is resources. And we're talking to C-suite people who need to make a decision whether they're going to invest into L&D. And they're very numbers driven. In L&D, we tend not to be very numbers driven. So this is where HR really comes in and plays that key role. They're your number one lobbyist to get you those resources. In order to do that, you kind of have to sell them on why you need the resources, what outcomes you're looking to achieve. And if you sell them well, if they believe in the initiative and the outcomes, they should turn around and be asking you, what can I do to help? And what you need from them is to go lobby on your behalf and also model the behavior. And this is a little bit similar from the manager side, but broadened. So managers, we look at the key drivers of change. When they believe something, there's more likely that their team believes in it. If they don't believe in it, it's more likely that their team won't believe in it. So we really need to make sure we're also selling them and engaging them. And they in turn are asking, what do you need from me? I need you to be a spokesperson on my behalf. But also leveraging them to get information about their team. What do those teams care about? If we're looking to build really good programs, if we're looking to build a marketing campaign that gets people to initiatives excited, we need to know what they're struggling with so we can tailor our message according to them.
Yeah, that last one is a really strong one, right? Leveraging the team to get the insights. So you are building something that you know will fit the needs. Thanks, Kyle. Sylvia?
Yeah, really shortly here, because I very much enjoyed what both Stare and Kyle said. And maybe to dive a bit into that, selling point, I think it connects again to what we see in marketing as how do you communicate value, right? Like what is the value for that stakeholder that you need the support of? So whether it is L&D and HR or a wider business stakeholder, you have much better chances of getting the buy-in that you need at an individual level. And then you can also leverage that individual to be exemplary at a wider company culture level. Why it's interesting to me is because this is something that we hear a lot at Lapaya, and it came out strongly, for example, at our latest Impact Lab, where we really heard L&D leaders sharing how tough it is to get that true stakeholder alignment, whether it's like mapping business needs to overcoming early resistance, because that's often a first step that they have to deal with. And it's also why, based on what we have heard from the community, we developed also practical L&D stakeholder buy-in framework. And I'm super happy to be sharing it today. Actually, I think Elisa will be dropping it in the chat shortly, because we see it's a very simple tool that you can actually take away and start using to co-drive engagement between HR and L&D, and then also expand it at the wider business level. So basically, again, creating that ripple effect from the people teams into the entire business.
Great. Thanks, Sylvia. And thanks for sharing, Elisa. I see it's already been valued. So that's good to take that away. And then we're already here for the last panel question of this webinar. So diving a little bit deeper again, we see that L&D teams are needing to wear many hats. We just discussed and heard so much. So had to really deliver and design these engaging leadership learning programs. And I'm very curious to hear from the experts. What do you see in terms of L&D adopting techniques, maybe from other departments like sales or marketing? What can L&D teams learn from them to increase the engagement of the programs and to make sure that learners and business stakeholders are more involved? Now I'm going to start not with Stur, but with Kyle.
Thanks. Yeah, this is a topic I'm obviously very, very passionate about, working in sales enablement. If I were to say the word sales, a lot of people cringe. They think of those stereotypes like somebody who's pushy, somebody who's manipulative, somebody who overpromises but underdelivers. And this is how I used to think of it as well, until I randomly stumbled into sales enablement with no experience. I did a talk on this a little while ago. But not many people realize that you're selling and negotiating every single day. And the books that helped me realize this were To Sell is Human, Every Job is a Sales Job, which is Cindy McGovern and Daniel Pink. Interesting to look into. We're doing this every single day. We're selling a broader vision, getting people to buy into it. We're selling our initiatives, getting people to buy in and get excited about it. We're negotiating, especially from the middle manager side, negotiating with our teams anytime we want them to do something that they don't necessarily want to do. It's all part of sales and negotiation. And what I hear as a very common mistake from people is, and this isn't just L&D, this is leaders, managers, is they say, well, my team doesn't really have a choice. This is the direction they need to go in, so they need to commit. But we're really missing that opportunity to sell them, to make them believe in it. And we know from a lot of research that if people have their own reasons for doing something, their takeaways and their engagement is going to be much, much higher. So we need to take that opportunity to sell to them. So whenever you think like a standard product life cycle of getting customers. So if you think we want to attract an audience, we need a marketing campaign. Then once we have that audience, we need to sell them so they believe that this is the right change to make or this is the right thing to invest in. And lastly, once we have them and they're sold, we act as customer success managers. We need to continue to provide value so they stay engaged. And this is exactly the same thing when we're building L&D initiatives. We need to market it, make sure our messaging is clear, really make sure that they know why they're showing up to it. I think one of the big, a famous quote here to remember in your marketing campaign by Maya Angelou. And I don't have the exact quote, but it's, people may not remember what I say, but they're going to remember how I make them feel. And this is a great technique to take when you're building a marketing campaign, because that feeling gets people to show up to your initiative with excitement, with engagement, instead of grudge or burden or cumbersome. After that, you're building good content that's making sure it's explaining why people need to invest in this, why you should take it away. So they actually want to take it away and invest their personal time into it, because we know training has just a microcosm effect on the broader initiative of getting it to put into action. We need coaching, we need practice. So we want them to take away and actually do those things. So you need to sell that during the initiative as well. And then lastly, as a customer success manager, how is value, what's next? We see one of the most common things that happen is we lose engagement over time. What's next? Why should you show up to the next initiative? What are we going to accomplish there? Why is that crucial to add into what we just talked about today? So I think it really all comes down to sales and marketing. So I really challenge everyone to kind of put away those negative stereotypes and invest in those sales skills, invest in marketing skills. How can you bring value? If you do this, you're really going to see that you get a lot more of the things you want, and you also get people to believe in the things you're saying.
Amazing, Carl. You can tell you're a sales person. You bring it very inspirational, and I really, especially the thing about, right, you want to touch somebody's feeling and emotion. So That's really something I take away from your insight. Thank you. Stur, do you have another view, or you're aligned with Kyle? Curious to hear.
Yeah, fully aligned. Actually, yeah. No, I really recognize that from what we see every day as well, that yeah, it's sort of like an afterthought sometimes to sell the solution. Well, I think we should take it into account from the beginning. But what I would like to add is that I think that L&D could make more use of what today's EdTech actually enables, because if you use it well, technology can actually help you personalize your messages, but also time them and segment them just like marketeers do. And I think most learning platforms now also support audience segmentation and adaptive learning paths, allowing you to tailor these learning journeys the same way email marketers target different personas. So you can actually address the learner directly using branches to meet specific learning needs or offering localized content. And that kind of relevance makes learning feel personal and increases both engagement and impact. And I think one last thing about that, with AI, I also see a new opportunity. While marketing is used to work with several communication channels, budgets for learning did not always allow for that in the past. But I think with AI, it has become so much easier now to create different formats for one learning experience. So you can actually launch an e-learning module, but then also a blended course and a podcast. So it really, if you use those AI tools properly, you can truly increase impact and drive performance.
Thanks, Stur. So it's technology that sets it apart for you. Sylvia, do you have your view on this topic?
Of course, coming from a marketing background, I would just like to add a little bit on to what Stur said there. So in terms of having those different formats and channels, something that might be interesting for our L&D and HR audience to know is that typically we see interaction success in marketing coming from using a minimum of 6 touch points across different formats and channels. So something to keep in mind, one and done really doesn't cut it anymore. You really need to be top of mind and kind of sequence multiple communications at different points for your audience, which is in this case your employees. And another point I'd like to add, it would be to start campaigning before you launch the program. So, don't wait until just the launch date to create excitement for your learning programs, but really start building that awareness early by setting the context, maybe teasing what's coming, and definitely getting your internal champions involved. Because again, as I mentioned in the beginning, that social proof from peers and also from leaders goes a really long way for driving engagement organically.
Nice. And hearing all three of you, it also sounds like maybe talking to your sales or marketing department around these learning programs can be very helpful and beneficial. Thanks all three for your insights. And I think then we are at the moment of Q&A. Questions for our panelists. Are there things that you've heard that they brought up, or things that you missed and you would like to know from one of the experts? Then please share your question in chat, and would be good if you also write down who you would like to answer the question, so I know who to give the floor. So are there topics that you would like them to elaborate on, or indeed maybe aspects that we didn't hear a lot about? There's the first question coming to all speakers, so you all have to think about this. What trends do you predict in the HR L&D engagement field in 2026? So Linda's already thinking about next year. Maybe Sylvia, for you to start first.
That's a really, really good question. So what I predict based on, again, what I'm hearing a lot in our internal communities is really L&D becoming more strategic in how they drive engagement. So not simply, let's think about the learning programs, how do we get people in, but truly what does this mean for the business? How do we connect it to the wider goals? How do we encourage, you know, just not just a one and done, but a continuous learning experience for our employees? And I think this ties again into those wearing multiple hats and communicating more with all of the departments. So I see L&D becoming really that kind of a strategic center of excellence for 2026.
Great. That is, I think, a good answer to the question. Ster, another view of this?
It's
A little bit into the future.
Yeah, it's something which I recognize as well, which Sylvia just mentioned. But going back to my unpopular opinion, I think what we have seen in the last couple of years is that engagements was really key, and everybody was focusing on making learning more engaging. Also, if we look specifically and zoom in on learning, and I think we have to move towards making the true impact, and the impact is going to be made by making sure that people are able to adapt to the changing environment that we work in, because we already see it, of course. AI is changing jobs. It's collapsing the workflow in a way, because some things are taken over by AI, and that's just going to increase. And I think HR and L&D can really play a vital role in making sure that we are ready, and everybody is ready and open to transforming their own skills as well.
Great. Thanks. And it's nice that you bring up the unpopular opinion again. Kyle, any addition?
I'm always hesitant to make any predictions. I think I would agree with both Sylvia and Ster. I would say for hopes, I would hope there's more of a focus on managers, because we do oftentimes leave them to the wayside. We focus on HR and L&D, but we just don't put enough focus on the managers, and they're absolutely keys to engaging our team. And also key to adopting the learning initiatives we put in there. How are your managers coaching behind the initiatives you're launching? So I would hope that there's more of a focus behind upskilling, creating learning opportunities for managers to be better coaches, which again, just help us do our jobs better.
Great. Thank you all three for answering that question from Linda. I think then we can, we'd like to go to the key takeaways of today, right? We have explored the three subtopics and heard from the experts about that it's important to let go of negative sales stereotypes and start investing in that sales skills. It's not a dirty word. I will remember that, Kyle. Get your buy-in at every level, and therefore achieving your goals more possible. And the second one is, if you want learning to truly engage, make it personal, make it adaptive, make sure it's seen and appreciated in your culture. It's not just a completion thing, but it's really part of that holistic culture of your company. And the third one, I think, key takeaway of today is that it's important to leverage a marketing campaign, thinking as a secret weapon, and to really turn a good learning strategy into great execution. So those are the key takeaways of today, and maybe interesting to hear from the speakers. A final word. Can you add something? What would be your key takeaway from today's webinar? And maybe also interesting, maybe for the people who joined, to hear your number one tip. What's your main advice? Ster, would you like to start?
Well, I would think that the main tip is to really make sure that, like Kyle also mentioned, that you focus on the managers and make sure that they really appreciate their team and really give timely feedback. So I think that would be a great one to apply tomorrow.
Kyle, one sentence?
For your marketing campaigns, don't just send a Tuesday morning Slack message. Put the opportunity out there to get in front of people, because that's where you're really going to make them feel what you want them to feel in order to be engaged.
Great. Thank you so much. And for the audience, thank you very much for your time, your engagement. I had a lot of fun, and you will receive the presentation after the webinar, and together with your 2025 L&D toolbox to help you to take the next steps on your journey to drive collaboration and engagement. So thank you very much. And we will also share some useful links with you in the chat that you could go and explore a little bit more. So thanks a lot to the speakers, Ster, Kyle, Sylvia. Thanks for all your engagement and your insights. And we really would love to stay in touch. So hope to see you another time.
Thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Bye.